Studies indicate that students are generally bored in schools, and their innate curiosity about the world is lacking. Schools seem generally unsuccessful in sparking a sense of wonder. In Aristotle's work Metaphysics, he suggests that learning is something that happens almost spontaneously under the right circumstances and in a conducive environment. Thus, a kind of self-driven education is made possible in a place where we are captivated by something marvelous that arouses wonder and admiration. This means that regardless of the amount of knowledge or certainty we acquire, curiosity is never pushed aside because we always know of something unknown that stimulates thought. The following quote about the Icelandic highlands indicate a place of wonder where such self-driven education might be sparked.
The wild highlands are a wide embrace, mountain blue. Their stillness quietens you. Fascinated, you attend to your own soul's breath, this essence you've forgotten about for years. It's here you first perceive your spirit's immeasurable expanse, and you stand still and astounded in the deep silence amid unspeakable reverence for your soul's divinity. The distance, the mountain bluing, the great glacier's dome, the weighty murmurations of silence, all this is reflected and echoed beneath your soul's vault, spanning heaven and earth, your spirit's wide horizon. You are moved to tears, resonant as a tremulous bell in the pregnant silence of God's vast expanse, becoming one with it.
Does such a place really exist? I had to find out for myself. When I set off from Reykjavik to see the glaciers in Vatnajökull National Park in the east, I felt like I was leaving behind months of accumulated stress from work and the pace of modern society, a fabricated reality made by man. This got me thinking about Plato's allegory of the cave, a description of imprisonment in the shadowy realm of ignorance. Perhaps I had been living in that realm. I wanted to step outside the cave for a bit and witness what truly matters. My expectation was that in the remote wilderness, far from the buzz of the city, I would witness firsthand the most important message of our time. Our way of life is altering the climate. From the start of the Industrial Revolution, which began about 200 years ago, the amount of greenhouse gases emitted by humans has increased, and there are various reasons behind it. During the Industrial Revolution, the steam engine was put to real use, and people started burning fossil fuels to power it. This use of fossil fuels has increased significantly since the Industrial Revolution. All this combustion of fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. In 2016, the concentration of carbon dioxide had increased by 43% since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. My reason for heading east was to witness the consequences of climate change, which is evident in Vatnajökull National Park. Icelandic glaciers have been rapidly shrinking, and their surface area has decreased by 17% since the late 19th century. Glacier melting has increased in recent decades, and clear signs of this can be seen in the formation or enlargement of glacial lagoons in Iceland. Perhaps I was fooling myself. Why should I need to travel hundreds of kilometers east to Vatnajökull National Park to witness this? Couldn't I discover this all at home, sitting comfortably on the couch and simply Google it? Would the journey east deepen my understanding of the problem at hand? In our evolution as a species, as well as our individual development from birth, we first came to know the world through physical and sensory experiences. Our senses provide the fundamental basis for a very personal way of knowing the world and experiencing the physical and biological world. Although these lived experiences are fundamentally individual, they provide the basis of a common sensory understanding of our planet and an intellectual understanding of how it functions. Clearly, engaging with the natural world is central to this knowing, and perhaps even a necessary precursor of the critical reasoning skills and personal decision-making necessary for sustainable development. The number of people living in urban areas keeps increasing, and thus their opportunities to get acquainted with the wild nature are diminishing. Research indicates that direct experience with nature is important for developing empathy towards it. This makes me wonder whether information obtained through books, the internet, conversations with others, or in traditional classrooms is enough to foster such empathy. Our senses provide the foundation for a collective understanding of the world, But are we speaking the same language when most people spend their time in the city, trapped inside the shadowy realm, a dark cave separated from the wild world? It is difficult to care about that which one does not know. Therefore, direct sensory perception in a natural environment is a vital foundation for sustainable lifestyles. One man described it saying, "Children talking to trees and hiding in trees precedes saving trees." During my long walks in Vatnajökull National Park, I remembered a quote by Frederick Groh. "By walking, you escape from the very idea of identity, the temptation to be someone, to have a name and a history. The freedom in walking lies in not being anyone. For the walking body has no history. It is just an eddy in the stream of immemorial life." As the echoes of man's fabricated reality subsided, I took better notice of the glaciers and the surrounding vastness. I got a sense of the sublime and I contemplated life and death. The glaciers bear fertile soil that nourishes life, yet at the same time, they symbolize the dilemma we face: to do something or do nothing. Empathy is life. Apathy is death. Thinking back, this reminds me of a few words I read in The Road, a novel by Cormac McCarthy.
Once there were brook trout in the streams in the mountains. You could see them standing in the amber current where the white edges of their fins wimpled softly in the flow. They smelled of moss in your hand, polished and muscular and torsional. On their backs were vermiculate patterns that were maps of the world in its becoming, maps and mazes of a thing which could not be put back, not be made right again. In the deep glens where they lived, all things were older than man and they hummed of mystery.
The message is clear. We must remember. In the pursuit of remembering, we embark on a journey to transcend our limitations and escape the confines of the cave. It is a quest for greater integration between individuals, society, and nature, with the aim of fostering a more sustainable way of life. This journey involves reconnecting with nature and sharing a common language with it, enabling us to forge deeper bonds and understand its wisdom. Research suggests that immersing ourselves in nature not only enhances social connections, but also fosters a sense of responsibility towards the environment. By embracing this shared understanding, we can perceive the world in a new light, stepping out of the confines of our familiar perceptions and finding wonder and empathy. While it may evoke a sense of sorrow for what has been lost, this awakening fuels our determination to protect both humanity and the natural world. The challenge lies in overcoming our self-deception and recognizing our dependence on nature's well-being. It requires breaking free from the constraints of conventional education and engaging with the world through our senses, exploring diverse environments, and immersing ourselves in the richness of experiences. As we venture beyond the cave, we rediscover the wonder, admiration, and curiosity we once possessed as children. Through this reconnection, we are inspired to safeguard our planet and honor the wonders that we have long overlooked.